So, this video actually has two shout outs instead of one shout out because one of the books felt a little short, and I know I say that about all these books. I haven't even entered the 200-page realm yet, I don't think. But anyway, one of them was short, and one of them I didn't finish reading. And the first one is called Chosen. Um, and at first, when I read this book, I didn't really like it. I just felt like it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. Um, Things seem to happen for no reason, but I guess, like, looking back on it, the book is actually a lot better than I thought it was. Um, Although we spend a lot of time just with nothing happening. I think that's why I didn't like it, because I was confused at first until I actually thought about it, and then I understood what was happening. Um, So the main character's name, her name is Piper, and something is after Piper, and whatever it is oddly sexual. They don't really explain that part of it, because when the thing actually gets to her, it it's like 2 seconds, and then the book is over. Um, the town's called Hell, which I thought that was a little bit on the nose. So I guess it's supposed to be the devil who's after her. I don't actually know. There's like a curse on the town, and this one family, by giving him like people, I don't know if it's only girls, but by giving him people, they can satiate the devil and keep him from taking like the whole town down with him. I don't actually know. We find that out in like chapter 20. Um it's really weird. Piper is get like the protagonist, this is one of the few books that I've read where the protagonist actually fails. So that was a little bit weird, but I mean, it was, I don't know. It was just weird. But I mean, upon retrospect, because at first it was between Phallus Fair and Lady Estelle, but upon retrospect, it goes, it doesn't go in between anything yet. It goes underneath Enchantress of Numbers and Anthem. Yeah, it goes under Enchantress of Numbers and Anthem. It also occurred to me that the amount of books that I had planned to read was a little bit too much, and I've currently reached burnout. So I decreased my list, and I'm going to be taking more breaks, which is good for my psyche. Anyway, the other book that I didn't finish reading is called Burn District, and I don't know why I didn't like it, because I mean, like, it's a solid book, and if you like realistic fiction, like very realistic fiction, I'm sure you'd like it. It's because it's about after, like, y'all remember Hurricane Sandy? If you live in America, I don't know if they would report on that in other places, but Hurricane Sandy really messed some stuff up in the upper Northeast, and then, like, the government just decided to start using, like, oh, what's it called? Agent Orange on people, and they would just like burn whole areas and say that they were like quarantined or something like that. I think there's some sort of virus. I don't know. Um, I think part of the reason that I don't like it is because, in my optimistic opinion, I don't think that there are certain apocalypse scenarios that just can't happen anymore, in my opinion. Like, technology taking over and the government being shady and lying to us, like, that stuff, I feel like, in terms of dystopia, is kind of plausible. But certain, like, more violent things, I don't think can happen. And that's how I felt about this book, because the things that are happening in the book, I feel like it would just be all over Twitter, and then it really would be like the meme, they can't stop us all. Yeah. I also don't feel any sense of urgency. Like, they're going somewhere in the beginning of the book to like find safety, and I just feel bored. I guess realistic fiction isn't for me then. That book, even though I didn't finish reading it, I still put it on the list. That book goes underneath The Sweetest Kill. I just don't like that book. So, the next book, the book that this is actually about, is called The Vampire Sword. And this book ended up on the wouldn't read again list, but at the top of the list because, I mean, I'm reading the second one because I have to know what happens. But in terms of reading the first one again, I probably wouldn't. It's already so wild in the beginning. A vampire, like, comes in, it breaks the shattered stained glass of the church and bites her, and her dad shoots him, and he dies, and then another vampire comes and saves her and her dad because the vampire is about to kill her dad too. It's like a whole thing. And Richard, her dad, failed to mention the magic and all of that. She's actually a sorcerer. Since she's been bitten by a vampire, she is now sorcerer and a vampire, which has never happened before, and no one on either side needs to know about it because apparently her kind are hunted and they're not considered good people. Um, I suppose you can also tell how much I like these books in comparison to Dragon's Champion when and Cities of Refuge, whatever that first one is called, Light on the Hill, because those two books, I don't think I looked at my notes very much for those. But yeah, so now everything is just a lot. There's this dude named Lord Terrans, and he's a pureblood vampire, and he wants to take over the world and kill all the humans and kill all the sorcerers. But there are some vampires who are like, nah, we can't do that. And all the sorcerers are like, no, we really can't do that. Humans don't know anything about this. And Tara is now going to be in training for some reason. I don't know why they specifically choose her, but they do. And then Tara starts having these dreams about a sword. It's called the Vampire Sword. Lord Terrans needs Tara to find the sword. I guess what they're trying to say is that Terrans needed to infect a sorcerer so that they would be able to find the sword because he himself can't actually touch the sword. For some reason, he can't actually wield the sword. There's this other guy named Lucius. I think he's the love interest. I can't entirely tell. He gives her monkey blood so that she doesn't like wanna eat her dad. Um, as a female in the world, Tara has no skills to protect herself, which I mean, I guess that's fine, but it just bugs me a little bit. Um, so the vampire sword is in a different realm, and Lord Terrans, because the vampire that bit Tara, Lord Terrans turned him so he can communicate with Tara through telepathy, and they talk, and Lord Terrans tells her about the sword that she's been dreaming about because the sword is like calling out to her and stuff like that. And Parliament, the Sorcerer Parliament, sends a dude to check on Tara because they heard about the attack and they want to make sure that Tara's not a vampire. But her dad doesn't work for Parliament anymore, so he's like, "Get out of my house! I don't want you here." And Richard gives Tara a sword called Damnation. No, Domination, not Damnation. It's a silver sword and it can cut down vampires really well. Richard was like the OG vampire hunter. I guess I shouldn't say OG because that means original, but like he was like the best vampire hunter and he stopped once he had a family. I don't actually know what happened to Tara's mom. I think she just like died of cancer. I think I want to say cancer. I don't entirely know. Another vampire attacks and tries to get Tara to go with him to Lord Terrans. The house is now on fire, and Tara is getting her dad out because he got hit because he's old now and you can't. He's in the trope of getting too old for this shit, and yeah. So Tara decides that she's gonna go talk to Lord Terrans. And Lucius is like, don't do that. But Tara is like, what else am I supposed to do? And Lucius is being slightly unreasonable. So after a chapter of talking to herself in the park, she goes. And apparently, for some reason, only half vampires can wield the sword. Why he specifically chose Tara, I do not know. But yeah, so at this point where he gets her, not Lucius, where Lord Terrans gets her, there are 4 chapters left in the book, and we haven't even hit the climax yet. So, they're going like Terrans wants to break Tara's will because she doesn't want to wield the sword for him because he wants her to wield the sword for him so that they can like take over the place. Because I think the sword turns humans into vampires and kills vampires and sorcerers. So they're doing that, and Tara's like, nah, and Terran's like, I'm gonna break your will, and Tara's like, nah, but he like starts doing this thing, you know, that like nondescript thing that villains do in like books and movies where they just induce a large amount of pain to get what they want. That's essentially what he's doing. um and yeah, so that happens, and then they're doing the ritual to get the portal to open, and Tara has fire magic, so she threw a fireball at Terrence, and now he's disfigured. And he tries to break her will again, but it doesn't really work. And then Lucius comes, and I guess that's kind of the climax. And then they get to the other realm, and Terrence is like, if you don't draw that sword, I'm gonna hurt Lucius. But and he also wants to leave Lucius there, but Tara doesn't really agree with that, and now she's double wielding domination and vampire sword. So she kills Terrence, and they go back to Earth and accidentally reveal that she is a half vampire. And Lucius invokes something called the Lamb Doctrine, and that's where like um a person who invokes the Lamb Doctrine, like Tara is going to be tried, but Lucius will be tried in her place, and whatever punishment they were going to give Tara, they have to give Lucius. So if they were going to kill Tara, then they have to kill Lucius. Tara did just save the entire world from a Lord Vampire, though, so I don't actually know. That's why I'm reading the second one. I need to know what happens to Lucius. I care about Lucius more than I care about Tara. Um, yeah. Somehow I've been dragged into wanting to read the second book. Um, Character motivations are a little bit hollow in this book. Like, Tara has no reason to care about any of this besides the fact that she's now just involved, but that's how these books always work. And, it's kind of like one of those books where, like, if there wasn't a cliffhanger, if Tara being a half vampire was not a problem, then why is there a second book? Which kind of annoys, like, there's no other threads to pull at for there to be a second book besides them finding out that Tara is a half vampire, which if only sorcerers could wield the sword, then this would be a non-issue. Um, there's some exposition spouting. All of it is told to us rather than shown to us. Um, I feel like we're not in Tara's head a lot, even though we are. I don't know. Um, I didn't like Tara. I put Tara is the dumb blonde trope sometimes, and she loses the bigger picture a lot of the time. And she wants to have sex with Lucius, even though she met him literally 3 days ago, and he's also kind of a dick. Um, like she's very doubtful of all of the things that are happening, despite the fact that she's an actual vampire now. And I know that that sounds like a thing that I like didn't scold another protagonist for. But here's the thing with that. They were freaking out. That's different from doubting. Like, they understand that all of this is real and we got to deal with this cuz man, the end is coming. So, that's different. She is doubting everything despite having now being a vampire and knowing that all of this exists. She doesn't freak out very much. She just is very doubtful. Um and then like the setting, or rather lack thereof, there's not a whole lot of description in this book, so I don't know if it takes place in like Earth real world or in like some made up planet where there just happen to be humans. There's Richard's house. There's the Order's castle. The Order is this thing that Lucius is a part of. They're the ones who want to stop Lord Terrence. There's the other dimension. There's the Shadow Place, the hospital, and the park. Two of those were first seen. One spans like 5 chapters. Nothing is really happening until the explosion. And then every chapter feels like it ends where it should be like a dun dun dun, or a it's either that one or blam 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 moment. Like all the music cues and mood changes from Vine. That's what it feels like those scenes are ending on. And like they're not even really scenes because every chapter interrupts a scene, which is a little bit annoying because like there's no change. They're just still talking about it, but it's like these revelations that Tara's supposed to be having, but they don't feel like revelations because there's no build up. Nothing feels built up. Um like I think part of the reason also why I feel like the character motivations are shallow is because we don't know anything about Parliament or the sorcerers really. Like if there was more of a like delving into that, but like we can't because Tara is a half vampire. And then I had the same problem with Foul is Fair, I think. I don't actually know what I'm talking about with this note. The way Tara falls in love in this book is horrifying. Women in general don't fall in love with a person that they find simply attractive. I said in general. Like, she can love him and want to sleep with him, but she seems to be in love with him. And maybe it's me, but I wouldn't keep commenting on someone's attractiveness with my life in danger. Which, speaking of, there's no sense of urgency in this book. Like, if you're trying to imply that the world is ending or something like that, and that's like the point of your book, then there should be some sense of urgency. The reason that doesn't bug me in a book like Ravensmark is because the point of the book isn't necessarily to be like yeah, the world is ending, but there's an easy out to this. The point of the book is to be a harem book, not to be an apocalypse book. In this book, if the vampires come, everything is awful. Um and then like Terrence at one point threatens her family and her friends, which the only people that I know about are her cat, Jane, and Richard. Her mom is dead, so I don't know what else is going on there. And then like I wrote a whole thing about like what I would really want like the book to be like, but I mean, I don't know. The book goes at the top of the wouldn't read again list cuz I'm going to read the second one cuz somehow I've been drawn into wanting to read it, but I mean, whatever, I guess. I don't know.